What is up, ladies and gentlemen? It is October the 30th, and we're back for another edition of Deer Camp with the Lindseys, and we are live from the deer woods here in southern Iowa. I got back here yesterday. I hunted yesterday afternoon, had a great sit this morning, subpar sit, but the weather's right. I think tonight's going to be good. It's going to be good through the entire weekend. It's a fun time to be a deer hunter and a great time to be a bow hunter. Thank God we bow hunt, right?
That's right. Ain't nothing better.
This is going to be our first ever edition of our over underrated segment. This is the RUT edition, and we got 10 questions, 10 topics that we're going to bounce off each other, overrated, underrated, expound on them a little bit, have a little fun. But let's talk about what we've been up to, man. I mean, you just got back from Kentucky. Me and you are kind of like two ships passing in the night as far as how we're hunting, but
Yep.
Kentucky was slow, huh?
I mean, it was where I was sitting, but I was kind of limited with the wind. I didn't really want to bust down the door on my great spots yet. So,
Right. Oh yeah, no, it's still technically a little early. I feel like with this weather, me and my dad were talking yesterday, and with this weather we're getting now in Iowa and what we're getting in Illinois, I'm like, no holds barred, go to your best spots. This is going to be pretty good. Um, the old, I'm just hunting from afar. I want to see what they do. I mean, I think we're past that. We may be back there next week when it warms up a little, but right now I'm like all hands on deck, dive into your good spots. It's the rut. We're here. This is what we live for. Let's do it. And so
yeah.
that's kind of what my mindset right now.
Well, and we had a spot specifically with a couple of scrapes, and two of the, 4 or 5 shooters we have were using those scrapes, albeit at night, but they were still using it.
Right.
And for November 1st to the 7th, based on the weather forecast right now, we're not going to be able to hunt that spot because of the way the wind direction is. So I was like, you know what? I got 3 days to hunt. I might not be able to get to hunt that in prime time, so I might as well pound it now and see what happens. The weather
Well,
was right
you
for
had
it,
a couple
but
big deer on camera there, so I mean,
yeah,
you gotta do what you gotta do.
yeah. It didn't work out, but it's still fun. Saw some deer, rattled a couple
Yeah.
young bucks in.
I shot that buck in Illinois last weekend or 10 days ago, and on that Sunday that we had that day circled. What was that, the 19th, I guess, 6, 7, 18, 19. So Cole is going to go film Luke. Luke's hunting a big deer. Deer we call homeboy, and I was like, he's got a better chance of killing than I do. So go hunt him. We hung that stand. Deer's got a little bit of a drop time, and I just knew he was going to kill that deer. So I was like, you got to go, because every time Luke comes to Illinois, he ends up killing a big deer, Iowa, wherever he goes. And so I get a buddy of mine. He finds me this guy that comes and hunts and from with Quincy, and he's going to film me for the first time ever. We're getting to know each other in the blind. We didn't have a tripod, which actually worked out. We're in a redneck soft side that had been left out, so pretty much a raccoon hut that I had backed up in the corn. But I knew this cornfield when I put my cameras out for the first time in the summertime when I took my kids up there. Um, the first buck we had in this field, I think it was the first buck I had on my Spartan camera that I checked that afternoon. He come out in this exact same spot. Well, I knew he had daylighted on like the 11th and the 16th, I think. So I'm like, we get that weather, that buck's going to be in this field. That's his scrape right there. And sure enough, 4-pointer comes out or 6-pointer, whatever he was, and then he's like big 8 stepping out. And that deer stepped out and fed all the way down, hit that scrape forever, fed over here, hit the scrape at 32, 34 yards, whatever it was. And I'm like, all right, man, I'm gonna shoot him right there. It's just too pretty. His heads are up in the limbs and all that. So I pull back, put it on his heart, thinking, he's gonna drop a little. Well, not only did he not drop, I didn't allow that he was another 4 yards, put my 30-yard pin on him. I used one pin, 0 to 30 yards. And it went zipped right under him. And I was like, okay, I haven't missed a deer. I couldn't tell you the last time I've missed a deer. Hit some deer back. Yes, I even hit one high shoulder, but I couldn't tell you the last time I missed a deer completely. And I'm just feeling like a fool, I'm like, how did that happen? And he kind of stops what he's doing. He sniffs. He heard the arrow go in the leaves, and he kind of sniffs around right there, goes back to scraping, steps out in the cornfield, feeds a little bit. I thought he was going to come all the way in there to 20 yards and I was going to whack him. Goes over here to another scrape, and he's like leaving the field hitting this scrape. I said, it's now or never. And thank God he doesn't have a tripod because he's all the way up here. So I torqued myself around, and 22 yards, I shot the deer back. He was stretched out like this, and I'm like, how in the world did I do that? And then after the shot, uh, the guy was filming me. He's like, man, you were torqued so bad around that cherry you were sitting over. It's like, it's no wonder you even hit the deer. I was like, well, I felt good about it, but nonetheless, the deer went 80 yards, fell over. We gave him till the next morning. My dad and Luke and Cole went hunting, and what I did, and Bodie, and I said, I'm gonna just slide in there at like 8 o'clock and see if I see him. So I'm just navigating the woods. I did not want to mess it up in case I had to get a dog. I had a dog on standby, and I came in from the west side. I'm like, he's a gut shot deer. He's probably going down to this pond. We got a wood duck pond right there in the creek. I figured he would be down there. So I eased into the woods and I don't see him, and my heart's kind of sinking a little bit because I heard some coyotes. And I'm like, what? I thought I just liver shot him. And then so I go up the ditch about 150 yards, nothing. I said, okay, I'm backing out. I told the gut dog guy, okay, I think I'm ready for you. I didn't mess up where he went in the woods. I didn't mess up where he ran. So I thought, and then I'm walking out over the ridge. I said, let me walk back down by this pond. I go over the ridge, and he came up the hill. He was above the pond. He didn't run 80, maybe 90 yards, and he's dead. He'd been dead a while. Thank God the coyotes hadn't touched him. Meat was still good. Cape's in great shape. Just a beautiful deer, and just a solid, heavy horned, you know, chocolate looking tine, 8 point, just a beautiful buck, typical Pike County, Illinois buck. Those guys got done hunting, helped me come get him out, and it was a good feeling because that was a deer we're after. And I just had to get rid of Cole, man. So he was my bad luck charm for I, Illinois or something. I don't know. I'd hunted with him almost a week, and new guy comes in there and we whack one the first day, and then when we gutted him, I actually did hit the back of his lungs, like you could just see the schwacker, at 3-inch schwacker bailed me out, and which was crazy because I thought it was way beyond that. And I think you even made the reference he had like David Goggins lungs or something. So I wanted to see where I hit him. I did not hit his liver, but obviously it went through his stomach, but it took out. It clipped both lungs about an inch, and they were all bloodied up, and you could tell bruised up. You could tell that I hadn't done that with my knife. So it was interesting, but it's also why I went 80 yards and fell over. So he was probably dead before we, within an hour or so on that shot. But nonetheless, we got him, and that was my Illinois hunt. Then I was done, and so I tried to shoot a doe next day or so. That didn't happen. Georgia, we were hunting a big deer down there. He was one step ahead of us, but I've been circling this cold front this week, and I said, no matter what I do, no matter when I hunt, I feel like this cold front we're in right now here in Iowa, Illinois, is you're going to look back Thanksgiving when you're looking, sorting cameras, sorting pictures, sorting cards. This 4 or 5 day window right here, there's going to be more big deer in daylight on scrapes going past cameras than I would say any 5 day period of the entire rut. Hey, I hope I'm wrong. I hope November is great, but everything seems a little bit early. It seems like we've seen deer breeding does. I've had a lot of people send me pictures of bucks locked down with does. So everything's early. And when you get this cold weather right here around Halloween, I mean, it is a recipe for success. So if you're not hunting this weekend, guys,
Sorry
get your
about your luck.
babysitter. Yeah, get your babysitter. This is the weekend to use your kitchen pass, and vacation days, sick days, whatever you got to do, get in the woods. This is it. And it's going to warm up a little bit next week, it looks like. But then,
Yeah,
once you
but I
get that,
don't hate it. I
no, but
mean,
once you
like,
get to that 5th to the 15th, like we say, the calendar, the
it doesn't
calendar is going
matter.
to almost trump that weather because they got to breed. You
Yeah.
know.
I mean, I don't normally like, I like evenings better the first 5 to 10 days in November, but
Oh,
like
100%.
I'm
Yeah.
looking at the weather where we're at in Kentucky, and there's a lot of mornings where it's in the high 30s starting out. I'm like, oh man, that is a recipe for disaster for some big deer.
Oh yeah, the way it's going to line up, yeah, especially with the rifle season and all, it's going to be nasty. But I'm not a big. I've never been a big late October guy as far as mornings. If the weather's right, I'm gonna do my best to hunt an afternoon. I did hunt this morning. It was slow. I kind of feel like still maybe right at daylight's been good. We're seeing a little midday action, but nothing crazy. But at the last hour or two of daylight is really good in the evenings. But every year, the older I get, I know the last podcast we did was all about November, but every year, the older I get and looking back at cams, it's like you don't know the best days until they're over. But man, end of November, if you can get that cold spell that we're
You
in
mean
right
end of
now,
October?
oh, I mean, the end of October, you get that cold spell like we're dealing with right now, man, it's as good as it gets. It really is. And we almost killed last night. I mean, it was a deer. The deer, you're gonna love the name of this deer. You got little kids, but we're calling him 6'7" because
Oh my
he's got like
god!
6 or 7 points. When I told Cole's like, what are you calling that deer? I was like 6'7". He's like, are you serious, man?
I
And
still don't
but
even know what that means.
I don't either, but he's got but my little 4-year-old walks around doing that. So I'm like, this deer's got 6 or 7 points on each side. So I'm like, that's the perfect name for him. And honestly, I started getting pictures of this deer in the summertime. He's a wide deer. He's got stickers on his bases. He's not that tall. He's not a giant deer, but I thought he was really old in the summertime, like an ancient type deer. But looking back at pics, I really dove into the pics the last couple nights, and I think he's probably a 5-year old. Um, he could be 6, but he's one of those deer like, man, you got to show me a little something better at 5 if we're going to let you go. Because typically we're not targeting our bucks till they're 6, 7, or 8. But this deer, I mean, he's a tank of a body. His body looks like he's 6 or 7, but based on the trail cam pics, I just think he's just really long and really muscled up. But nonetheless, he's one of those deer. I saw him. I don't know 100% if I shoot him. I want to see him at 20 yards. I saw him at 60 yards last night. He came out. It's funny. I was like, Cole, that's the deer I want to see. He's like, are you going to shoot him? I'm like, man, just let me get my eyes on him. First buck in the field, 2 hours before dark. We're sitting on the edge of this beautiful clover field in a hedge apple tree. And he comes out, follows a doe, walks over here where me and you shot the doe.
Mm-hmm.
He was 5 yards from that ground blind, comes over there, 20 yards from that redneck where we shot the doe, jumps the fence, would have been behind it, and we get him on camera jumping the fence, goes up there and works 4 scrapes. I mean, every little pose, angle, I was able to count every little point at 60 yards. Obviously, I'm not going to shoot one that far, but it was cool to see him just like, hey, you guys looking for me? Let me show you what I'm working with. And then he followed some does, kind of pushed them out of the field into the cedars. This was 2 hours before dark. We never saw him again. We seen one other 4-point and one 9-pointer, but we've seen probably 20 does for whatever reason. That little corner right there, all that clover and the way it touches with the corn and the bedding area is loaded with does. And, I'm tagged out on does, but Dave's going to kind of have to help me out on that maybe. But
Yeah,
nonetheless, it was a fun hunt. That was worth, that made my whole weekend.
I
And
think
it was
that
on.
was. I think that was the video clip. Cole sent me a video clip of that deer from last night. Dude, he looks identical to one of the bucks I'm hunting. Same
Yeah.
deal. Big body joker,
Huge
really
body.
wide, short tines though. He's a mainframe tent, and those brow tines are like
Yeah.
little pip squeaks.
He's got a bunch of little kickers right there. And he's probably a 155 type deer if I had to guess, plus or minus 5 inches, depending on how much all the points add up to. But he's just a cool deer, but he was fun to see. It was
Yeah.
fun to see, and I'm like, all right, it's on, man. It's November. I mean October. It's what we live for right here, man. And I know, like I said earlier, I know we've touched on those November days, but I was not missing this. Now I got to go back to Georgia the weekend, or go back to Georgia Saturday. I talked like this the weekend now. Actually, it's Thursday. Saw that buck yesterday on a Wednesday, but got to go back to Georgia. So I'm only going to get like 3 or 4 days here. But our Georgia cams are on fire, and I really need to get cash a buck. So that's kind of my goal this weekend if it works out.
Is he still in the boot?
No, he's out of the boot. He's out of the boot. He said he's getting a little desperate now. He said now he's been pretty picky on Jeb or a couple of the other deer. He's like, now if it's a shooter, I'm shooting. He said he made the comment last time we went hunting. He's like, Dad, I'm getting pretty desperate. I'm like, it's October the 20th. I was like, okay, bud. But he filmed me the other night because we went and hunted deer. And even though I've already killed a buck, I kind of really felt bad about this. But I was like, if Colossal comes out, I've been hunting that deer for 3 years. If he comes out, bud, I'm going to shoot him. If I'm tagged out, you can shoot him. But I still got a buck tag. In Georgia, you get 2 over-the-counter tags there. And so I said, you're going to film me. And at first, he didn't like that idea. But then once he got a hold of that camera, I just took a little handy cam, a little Canon handy cam. He didn't have to focus. He just zooms. I mean, the rest of the night, a deer would come in the field. I'm like, here, let me film it. No, no. He'd done everything. He kind of fell in love with it that night. So I'm like, when I let him hunt by himself the first time this year, it was kind of sad because I was like, hey man, you're going off hunting and is this the end? That me and him hunting together? And then the other day in the stand, I'm like, nah, we still get to hunt together. We're gonna be filming each other, so we ain't gonna he ain't gonna get rid of me that quick. So
You said he said he was desperate. He was getting desperate. But the words I heard out of his mouth from opening day in Georgia sounded like he started out desperate. He said, "I'm gonna shoot whatever I can get my hands on."
yeah, he's bloodthirsty from the word go. It's actually I was telling uh, Ethan last night, got up here filming my dad, that I've actually had to back him off, because it's, man, there's no recipe or instruction manual on how to raise a kid, deer hunting. Everybody, they all start at different ages, they all start, different passions. But he's been, he shot his first turkey when he was 4 years old, and we're like, well, don't y'all, I had people saying, well, you think that's a little early? I'm like, it was all I could do from him shooting one at 2. That's how hardcore he's been about it ever since he was old enough to walk. So, well, let's get into the overrated and underrated segment if you want to.
Let's do it.
You want me to go first?
Yeah.
All right, first topic. We got 10 of them. First topic: moon studies on deer, how it affects movement. Does the moon affect deer? This is such a controversial topic now.
I'm going to go with the studies are overrated because I think there are entirely too many variables when you're doing a study like this that come into play. I don't think you can get an accurate set of data to prove it one way or the other.
Yeah, I agree with you there. I think the studies are overrated. I think the moon doesn't affect deer movement like what we believed and were taught growing up. But I do believe when it's overhead and underfoot, it's going to affect deer movement. I've seen it happen. There's too much data that I've seen just with my own eyes. And, you talk to anybody that, has a captive herd or a deer farm. Well, Doug Roberts
Doug put it best. He said, yes, it does affect them. They might not move 2 hours before dark and far and wide like you think. They may get up for 5 minutes, grab a bite to eat and drink of water, and then go lay back down, but it does get them up.
It does get them up. Well, that's interesting. Yeah. Well, that kind of goes back to what I was saying. It's not as much as we were kind of taught and heard from the old timers. Get in the stand, boys, midday. It's full moon. I don't see it like that, but it does. I love a rising moon in the afternoon. So I'm going, those studies are overrated.
Yep. Well, and Doug's perspective again, like if you have a study and it's a radio collar deer and he gets up and he moves 5 yards to grab a bite to eat and then he lays back down, do they count that as a data point of that deer moving or not? That's what I'm saying.
Right.
It's overrated. I don't see how they could track it.
The same organization that pushes that hey, moon doesn't affect. They also, and I want to think that this is just quick clickbait, rage bait, whatever you want to call it, but they also put out a reel that says there's no scientific studies or data that cold fronts don't affect deer movement, and that made me want to scream. I didn't even respond, but that is a total. I'm just going to say that I hope that's clickbait, because that could not be further from the truth.
Nope.
We don't even have to go into that. So, number
right.
2, overrated, underrated, hunting rub lines or scrapes during the rut or pre-rut.
Underrated. I like scrapes. I think scrapes are actually a good form of bait or an alternative form, especially if you got one that a deer likes to hit in daylight. Prime example, your deer in Illinois. Mm-hmm. Rub lines, I'm not sold on, but I do think it'll show you a path that there's deer traveling, so I'm going to go underrated.
My thought on hunting rubs and scrapes right now, scrapes and food, the last 2 weeks of November, that is where I'm at. Every sit, I want to be close to a scrape. Rub lines, to me, occasionally you'll see a deer come in, sniff a rub, hit a rub, but rub lines pretty much tell me where they've been, so I'm not really anticipating movement on that. A rub line leading up to a bean field, early season, I'm all about it. But right now, I'm not. I think rubs are overrated. I think scrapes are underrated.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. All right, number 3, hunting the wind and thermals. Overrated, underrated?
I think it is underrated. I think there's so many people that don't hunt the wind, and I think there's so many things out there that you can do. And a lot of people tell you can't beat a deer's nose. True. You will never 100% beat a deer's nose. I don't care how far technology goes, unless you're sitting in a bubble with a way to vent that air out of that bubble, fresh air into underground to miles away, you're not going to beat a deer's nose. But that being said, there's so many things you can do. Every time before I go on a hunt, I'm putting my clothes in an ozone generator, scent crusher closet, scent crusher box. They're going to be fresh when I go out. I'm going to get in the deer stand. I'm going to have the Evercalm out. I may have some nose jammer out. I'm going to have those two little advantages work for me. Now, it's not for everybody. I've had people say, "Oh, I'm at a nose jammer. It scares my deer in Kentucky." Whatever. I'm not saying it's going to work 100% of the time, but for me, the Evercalm nose jammer pairing has really opened my eyes a lot. I can honestly say we do not get blown out. We may have a deer see us blow. We may have a deer catch us every now and then, and like, what is that? And I don't know what that is, but I truly believe from the stuff that we are using, we're not fooling a deer's nose, but we're letting a deer tolerate us, if that makes sense.
Yeah, there is no scent-proof clothing system or anything like that to where you can go into a spot and the wind be totally backwards and say, "Yep, it's still going to happen today." Not, no, no way. But like you said, I like Evercalm especially. I'm big on that one. I've watched it many times. A deer will get downwind of me, and it would afford you that extra time to get the shot. Should it be a big buck? And a lot of times they sniff it. They're like, what's that? And instead of freaking out because they smelled you, it covered you up enough. They just moved on. They got
It
out of the
does
wind
what it
trail quick
says.
enough, and
It
it
calms
was
them
all
down.
good.
That strong scent in that Evercalm. If you smell one, the stuff is super strong. There's no part of your body that is as strong as that stick of Evercalm, and it does exactly what I think it is. It's the strongest smell they have, and they trust their nose. They trust their gut on that. Now, if you ask me if hunting the wind is overrated in the rut, I'm going to tell you, that 5 or 10 day window where deer are going crazy. Yeah, don't hunt that field edge with a wind at your back. But as far as going into a funnel or your favorite stand in the hardwoods, you just hunt when it's that magical 5 or 10 days. If you go in there and dissect that with the wind, unless it's just blatantly blowing where you think 100% of your deer are coming from, but if you're going hunting a funnel and like, hey, the deer can come from 3 or 4 different ways, you got to give up something. You do.
Okay, so let's put that in perspective. Light and variable wind days, because we get them, and we seem to have been getting them more recently.
Oh, I had them in Illinois, or I had them in Kentucky early season, and drove me crazy.
But the rut, we're talking the rut now. Light and variable wind. Are you saying, you know what, screw it, I'm going into that spot?
Yeah, yeah, I am.
I'm going to be doing
Especially
it
if it's a
Sunday,
morning.
so
Especially if it's a morning because that wind's getting sucked up. But you guys are hunting such different topo there. It's so much more extreme. And then, in the morning that wind's sucking up those hills and mountains, and in the evenings it's sucking down those hollers. It's kind of like what we deal with and what we dealt with in Kentucky and what we deal with in Illinois. Even though we have ridges like that here in Iowa, but our thermals do not get sucked down here like they do in Kentucky.
well, I'll give you a prime example of what I'm going to go do Sunday morning. It's going to be 35 degrees, light and variable wind. I am probably 2/3 of the way up the hill. Technically, with a light and variable wind, I'd like to be on top of the hill, but I don't see the big bucks being up there. They like that half hill, third hill mojo.
That's how they
right?
traversed it. Right.
But with the pressure of 30.2 after that first hour in the morning and that temperature rising so fast, 5 degrees in that first hour or two, plus that 30.2 pressure, I still think even not being on the top of the hill, that pressure is going to be pulling your scent high enough on a light and variable wind that it's not going to matter.
I would agree with that. But Sunday morning, I mean, if you're ever going to risk it, Sunday morning's the morning to risk it. So do it, man. Do it and not think twice about it. At least that's my opinion.
Yep. Going in after him. All right, number 4. Hunting doe bedding areas during the rut. Overrated or underrated?
I have some thoughts on that. I'll let you go first on that one.
I'm going to go overrated. I
Yeah.
like rut funnels. I like areas where deer are moving because to me that buck is moving. He's trying to find those does moving back and forth, catching their scent that way. I don't know. I like higher traffic areas. I don't like static areas.
I'm gonna go right in dead middle of that one. I don't think it's overrated. I don't think it's underrated. The thought of me going and hunting a bedding area and running a deer, whether the does are bedded down before daylight or midday, I'm not running deer out of their bed to go hunt if I can help it. That being said, if I can perfectly position myself between two bedding areas, in a saddle or a ridge or something, some form of straight line path that I feel like I got a bedding area here and I got a bedding area here, and those bucks are going to go run the downwind side of those bedding areas. 100%, that's my favorite spot to hunt in the rut.
Yeah, I'm
So
with you on that.
so I'm going to say hunting bedding areas overrated. Hunting between bedding areas underrated.
Hey,
Trick
there you
question.
go. There you go. All right, what's number 5?
Hunting on food plots during the rut. Do you hunt on them? Is that overrated? Is that underrated?
I think it's overrated. I think by the time you get to early November, those does have been pestered so much by those little bucks in open fields and food plots that they do not go into those things until after dark, at which point it is irrelevant for me. So I've always been a get in the timber guy once November 1st hits.
Right. You got to have the food plots, but yes, mid-November food plots to me. There's that week or two. I like them 1st of November, but the 5th through the 15th, it's overrated. Sitting on them, you're not going to see does. Those poor does are scared to death. They have been harassed. They know if they get in that food plot, they're not going to be out there, 3 to 5 minutes, and a little forky or 8 point or little 2 year old, something's going to come run them off. So if you want a frustrating hunt, go sit in a high doe concentration area and watch those bucks or the bucks come in and run every single doe. You finally get a doe. Oh, they got me a little bait for the evening hunt. Minutes later, here comes a little buck running them off.
I'll give you one scenario where there's a caveat. It is underrated in the sense of your best spot, the wind is terrible or something else, or the weather's better tomorrow, but you want to hunt tonight and you can sit in a box blind and watch from afar. That's when I'll say it's underrated.
Yeah, I agree. Now, soon as that 15th through 20th, that little section is behind us, and those deer are saying, "Okay, the rut's over. I'm fueling up." You, by George, better be on that food
Oh,
plot. You
yeah.
better be on that clover field, that radish plot, because that is going to be absolute fire.
Yep. All right. Number 6. I'll let you hit us with this one. What we got?
Blind calling, grunting or rattling in the rut, or in the pre-rut, rut, post-rut.
For my answer, it's going to depend on the exact days. It
Yeah.
is underrated up until lockdown. It is overrated when you think your big buck might be locked down.
I think blind calling is overrated. Just in my opinion, the amount of deer that I've rattled up that were like legit mature shooters has not been a whole lot. The amount that I've killed, I can count them on one hand. It just doesn't happen much. Now, what I think is underrated is having those rattling horns, having those rattle bags, having that grunt call. They are always this time of year where I can get my hands on them within seconds. Because if that buck is cruising, I am making noise. I'm going to start off with a grunt call, and if he's not paying attention to it or the wind's blowing, I want something that gets loud. I'm going to take that rattle bag, I'm going to take those horns, and I'm going to crack them hard, loud to get his attention. I'm not going to go on some minute rendition of trying to sound like two bucks fighting. I'm trying to hide it behind my back, hide it behind a tree. I'm trying to make as much noise as I can until he looks my way. And when he looks my way, I'm stopping, because 100% that buck knows exactly where that noise came from, whether I was using a grunt call or whether I was using a rattle bag or horns, and he's coming straight to my tree. And if he's one I want to kill him, I better be grabbing my. If he's one I want to kill, I better be grabbing my bow, because he's going to come in and come downwind of you, and hopefully you can get a shot.
Yep, I will just tell you right now, if you think your big buck or the bucks in general are locked down and in the lockdown phase, any kind of calling period to me is overrated unless you know he's alone. Because if he's got a doe with him,
You better be between does, yeah.
yeah, because if he's got a doe with him, he will turn that doe and go the exact opposite direction from you because he doesn't want to deal with you.
And a lot of people just, as far as blind calling, they won't look around, or they just pick up the horn, start banging, making noise, and you got tails going off. If you're going to blind call, make sure you don't want to do it on the edge of a food plot, but you want to do it where you got a creek bank below you or a thicket below you, something that is hiding, that those deer can't just say, oh, because not every stand's a calling stand. Some stands, you're going to waste your time calling out because there's nothing underneath to know that deer's like, nobody's rattling there, or no deer's fighting underneath there, no bucks over there grunting, because I can see it from here. But if you got a thicket or you got some topo or you're sitting on the edge of a creek bank, those are ideal calling scenarios.
It's just like turkey hunting. If you want to call to a deer and you want it to be successful, you got to have something between you and him to make him look within 40
Hmm.
yards. He's got to be able to have to go around something to look. That's how you get him in the
Yeah.
kill zone.
Right. Yeah. When you're rattling or calling, you just got to think like if I'm turkey hunting without a decoy. Yeah, that's exactly right. If I'm turkey hunting without a decoy, what am I doing to get that buck over here? Something has to change. And a lot of times, if I'm seeing a buck cruising or I'm seeing him walking around, I'm not going to rattle where he's got a clear line of sight to me. I'm going to let something get between us, or I'm going to let him dip just out of sight and makes him come back and makes him kind of have to. I'm not trusting my eyes here. I got to go over here and investigate. So that's just as important. Not only when to rattle, but or the timing of it, but when to rattle as far as where that deer is located in perspective to how he's going to come to you.
Yep. All right, number 7, overrated, underrated. All day sits in November.
Oh, this is going to be the easiest question you ask all day.
You
Overrated
like, yeah,
100%.
you like lunch.
Oh yeah, I love lunch, and I don't have to eat it at noon, and I've killed deer at high noon. I grew up hunting all day. I grew up going to Canada. Me and my dad, when I was a teenager, I'd get dropped off. 14 years old when I first started, and November, sub-zero temperatures. I'm hunting all day in Canada, and that honestly pretty much killed my all-day hunting because that became a job at that point. Now that being said, if I'm in a spot where I know that's what it's going to take for that, and that there's a really high probable odds that deer is going to come in there on me or something, or I'm in a food plot that I can't get out. Yes. But my thought is, yeah, he may come by at high noon, but you know what? I'm here for the long haul and he's going to come back by eventually. But nothing will drain you more mentally than an all day sit as a deer hunter. But now, if you're on a 5-day hunt, you drew Iowa, you're going with an outfitter on a 5-day hunt, or you can only hunt this weekend, 100% do it. But, if you're getting to hunt more than a few days at a time, an all day sit to me is overrated. You can't take enough food. You can't take enough snacks. They're all gone by breakfast time.
No more Little Debbie's.
No.
Little Debbie done got killed by
Yeah.
lunch.
No, it's the mind games that you just have to play in your mind, just thinking about, okay, how long you got to sit there and how long till this, and you're timing out what snacks, trying to think what snacks you got in your bag. No, that's just, it's not for me.
I'm going to
I
go underrated
really,
because I like
because of
hunting
people
the
like me.
rut. I like hunting the rut in the timber. And that's the situation where it's underrated because you never know when he's going to be up cruising, A. And B, if I can avoid it when I'm hunting deep in the timber, I do not like 2 sets of tracks in and
That's
out.
true. Now, and sometimes I won't necessarily go in for lunch or something. Sometimes I'll swap spots. So one, I don't want to sit there all day just mentally and physically. But two, not very often am I hunting that one stand. I'm like, oh, it's going to be great in the morning and great in the evening. We don't have a lot of setups like that, or I don't hunt a lot of setups like that, I should say. I'm usually
Yeah.
bouncing over to, a funnel or a feed edge or a funnel leading to some feed in the afternoon, and in the morning I'm hunting more between bedding areas or something like that in November.
Yep. All right. What we got now? We got number 8. Oh, shower time. Overrated or underrated? Showering before every hunt. And while we're saying that, we will include that as you come in for lunch. Do you shower before your evening hunt too or not?
I don't unless I'm sweating a ton. Early season, yes, because if I'm dragging a deer out or I'm walking through the woods, I'm coming in taking a shower to get rid of ticks and chiggers. But right now, no, that's overrated. I am not showering before every hunt. Some mornings I shower, but me, unless I'm really getting dirty, I'm not showering before every hunt. I'm showering when I get in at night, and I'm only showering once a week anyhow, as is. No, I'm just kidding. Even if I need it or not. No, I'm only showering in the afternoon and at night. That's just me. So I'm not that. I'm a scent guru, but I'm not a scent nut job.
Yeah, I'm kind of in the middle of that one. Let's put it this way, the older I get, the more I say it's overrated just because the more it's like, you're not going to 100% beat a deer's nose. Just play the wind the best you
Yeah, you're
can,
just gonna
man.
go
And don't
dry your
be
skin
stupid.
out. And,
Yeah, don't walk into the gas station that smells like fried chicken and all that with your hunting clothes on.
Well,
Like,
that's
don't be
another thing. Overrated or
stupid.
underrated? What about, is it overrated not putting on your clothes beforehand in your car or putting them on when you get to the field?
Underrated. I'm still underrated on that. I'll wear a different like t-shirt and shorts and then just swap real quick when I get there.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just a force of habit at this point.
I mean, if it, I'm usually wearing what I want because I'm usually wearing what I'm wearing in the truck. But my truck, I don't let a lot of scent get in it and
Yeah,
stuff.
your
That's my
truck
hunting
smells
truck.
like deer though, bro.
Yeah, I know it doesn't have. It's not my wife's car with all the kids'
Yeah.
smells in there. But if it's late season, I'm not gonna or if it's cold like last night, I don't wear my jacket in because I don't want to sweat or I don't want to put on my jacket till later in the hunt or the last couple hours. So yeah, I'm not that guy. Now
Well,
I'm not gonna pump gas in my boots. I,
no.
I hate the thought of that, but I used to be that dude. I used to carry around my scent free um, bag, and I wouldn't put that stuff on. But now I'm pulling it out of my scent crusher closet. I'm putting it on, and I'm going hunting. But 90% of the time, not this morning, but most days, I'm fortunate enough to be hunting within a couple of miles of my house.
Yeah. Yeah, I will say though, where we hunt, you've seen the terrain. Half the time, I'm wearing my long underwear into the stand, anyways. Because if you wear more than that, you're going to be sweating the whole morning, and you're not going to recover from that kind of cold.
Right?
So,
Oh no,
it's a different
absolutely.
situation for me, anyways.
That's what if I got a long walk, I'm not wearing my jacket because I've learned that the hard way. You got smoke coming out your chest and all that.
Yeah, oh, is bad.
All right,
And
this next one I feel pretty strong about because I've had my fanny kicked on it. So go ahead and ask me.
all right,
Number 9,
underrated, relying on trail cameras during the rut.
100% in my opinion, they're overrated. 100% you have to have them, but Big Chocolate taught me this more than any other deer when I hunted him in 2019. But that deer, I was one step behind him, and I was following that deer along in steel cams, and he had such a big home range. I stayed one step behind him. If I would have hunted my gut, I think I would have killed that deer a lot earlier than I did. But cell cams can make you a dang good hunter. Sometimes almost feel a little bit like cheating, but they also can make you a worse hunter. Technology can put too much into your brain that you don't rely on your woodsmanship. You don't rely on how you grew up hunting, how reading signs, stuff like that. So I'm gonna say early season, late season, trail cams are underrated. But in the rut, in my opinion, they're overrated.
Yep, I'm with you. And the rut, they're overrated. You just need to know that deer's in the zip code. You don't need to be chasing
Yeah.
them around to
I just want to
specific
know he's
spots.
alive.
Yep.
But you can't help but thinking, if you get him, oh man, he was at the scrape over here on the North Field last night at 2 o'clock. You can't help but go there. Well, the chances of him coming back are probably not. He's probably moved on to another scrape. So that being said, use trail cameras. I'm not saying don't use them. I mean, they are an extremely deadly tactic, but don't. But still hunt. Don't chase those picks. Chasing those picks will get you in trouble.
Yep. All right, number 10, last one. Overrated, underrated. Hunting the lockdown phase.
Oh, that's so underrated. I love the lockdown.
See,
You
I'm
don't
so
see many deer.
overrated because of what it does to you mentally. You're like, it shouldn't be this slow. That's why
Oh, it's
I've
terrible. It's a dark time. As a deer hunter,
yeah.
it's kind of nearing towards the end of the rut, and it's a dark time. It's no fun. You don't see many deer. You hardly see any does. But if you can get a buck that's locked down and his doe comes to feed in your clover field or he drags her past him, because so many big bucks, so many, especially in highly pressured areas, so many big deer are so nocturnal. That lockdown phase, they're not nocturnal then. They have to stay with that doe. If she's bedded down, if she's nocturnal, maybe, but if she gets up to move, if she gets up to feed, for that small moment of time, those few days where we're in that lockdown phase, you have a buck that is moving like a doe, and I love to take advantage of that. I've killed a lot more deer in lockdown than I probably have, and I know I have than end of October, what we are now, just because I'm hunting harder then. But it's a depressing time to hunt because you're not seeing many deer, but it is deadly. it is deadly. And if you're going to hunt all day, any time of the year, that lockdown phase is it. Because how many times do you hear of people killing giant bucks locked down with a doe? The doe gets up middle of the day, goes change your bed, or other bucks come in there and run around. That doe brings him right by you. It's happened to me a bunch. My brother-in-law on this hill right here killed a 198 12 years ago, 12:30 in the day. Giant deer we called kickers was locked down with a doe fawn November the 15th. Killed her at 12:30 in the day in the pouring rain. Ruined the camera. Didn't even get it on video, but it was an all-time hunt.
Yeah, I'm out. I'll fly back to Florida and be with my family for 5 days.
Yeah, you're smart. You're smarter than me. I love the misery.
If you're gonna be dumb, you got to be tough, Jeff.
I know. I don't love the misery of an all-day hunt, but put me in the lockdown phase, and I feel right at home.
Yep. All right. Well, before I got to run, I will impart one more piece of wisdom I have noticed recently with everyone that is listening and watching this. As you are out this time and you're driving around, if you're checking trail cameras or whatever, you run across a scrape, put some scent in that joker, man. Like for me, I use Conquest stuff, whether it's Evercalm or the Rutting Buck, but anytime I've been driving past my scrapes the last week, I put it in there, and sure is all get out that night. The mature bucks that I have on camera, they will be in there ripping it. I don't know if it's just luck every time or what, but it has been doing a number on keeping them scrapes going.
Right. Well, I've fired up so many scrapes. I fired up some this morning just with that VS1. I swapped to that, the kind of red bottles. I swapped it, which he just renamed it last year, but that's my late October, November on every scrape I got. But the Evercalm, that Illinois buck, I had a little grapevine hanging down, and you can see the first scrape it comes out works where my camera is. You can see the white Evercalm on the thing. So I've had more luck. You know, in Illinois, we can't do anything but mock scrapes, and you know, we can't put out any bait, no attractant, no minerals. So I'm running mock scrapes 6 months out of the year to get pictures of deer. And I have had better luck with that Evercalm and that VS1 than I have had from every other I've bought one of every kind of scent or urine or whatever it is that's on the market, and with limited success. But ever since, you know, I met Doug and swapped over to that Evercalm stuff about 3 years ago, that has been the cat's meow for me getting pictures in Iowa and Illinois.
Well, and not only that, I use Evercalm all over my boots and everything, not only going into my stand, but when I leave to get out of my stand in the evening, I get to the bottom of my tree out of my stand, I put the Evercalm back on again to try to help cover up my tracks.
Yeah, there's so many believers of Evercalm. You know, a lot of people have been using it way longer than I have, and I know several people that'll fight you over that stuff, man. It's that lethal, but.
Now, with that being said, I'll just go ahead and summarize it for people. What you're saying is this is the time now where you're switching over to doe estrus scent to put in those scrapes instead of just any kind of general deer scent.
Yeah, even if a scrape, if it's an area that I'm hunting and it's a community scrape or it's a scrape that's already active that I didn't make, I'm still putting a little on the licking branch, and I'm breaking off a couple little twigs and throwing it in the scrape because I want that buck to come back there. And do I have a interested lady? I'm gonna come back there maybe once or twice to try to catch her. That's my thought. Or if it's one that, you know, man, there's always a scrape here. It's not taking off, or this scrape's right by my stand. It's really small. Put some of that stuff on that limb and watch that thing come to life. I have seen it happen more often than not.
Well, I don't even put it on the limb. What I do with that wax stick is I'll take a twig or something and I'll scrape the wax stick off into the dirt. But before I do that, I make sure I get that dirt real nice and fluffy because it holds scent better.
Right. Yeah, they like that ground disturbance when that dirt's been moving around. But yeah, I put it on the limb. I put like 2 or 3 rubs on the limb, a rub on a leaf, and then I scrape 2 or 3 twigs off and throw it down there. And it's worked for me.
It's money, honey.
Yes, sir. Midwest, Georgia, places I hunt, I'll take it. But man, I got to run. I got to go move a couple cameras around, and I got to get in a tree in about 3 hours. So I would say good luck to you.
Hey, buddy, I got a birthday to celebrate. It's my wife's birthday today. So
awesome. Colts is Saturday, so
nice.
Maybe I'll take him. He's gonna be 2. Maybe I'll take him hunting.
He got a lucky on the birthday, didn't he?
Oh man, yeah. We could have they talked about, you want to be born on Halloween or the first? I'm like, November's the greatest month of the year. Let's
Yeah, what are you
make it
talking
November
about?
1st. Yeah. Well, I mean, and then people were like, well, you really planned that out. I was like, yeah. I don't think there was any planning involved, but here we are. But I'm done now. He's my last one. But we got a birthday party Saturday, so it is. But we're
Nice.
gonna get to hunt. It's early enough in the day. My wife was like, 2 or 4. I'm like, do you have to have that question? It's November the
Yeah.
1st. Oh yeah, 2. I'm sorry, because
Yeah.
Cash has already harassed me. We're going hunting after the party, right, Dad? I said, yes, son, we are.
Yeah. Well, all right, dude. Good luck this evening.
So he's gonna kill one Saturday or Sunday. I don't like to call my shot, but you watch it. Saturday or Sunday, Cash is gonna put one in the mud.
If there's anyone that's going to will it into existence right now, it's that kid.
Oh yeah, that's in his prayers, man, every night. Kill my buck. All right, bud, I gotta run. We'll see you.
All right, see you, buddy.
All right, take care.